Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Trifecta of Transformation. Hello, everyone. Good to be back. Good to be seen. It's been a while. It's been a while. Hey, guys, say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Wow.
My name is Nathan Agpan, and how come we don't have our names on the screen? That's bizarre. I'll try to fix that. My name is Nathan Agpan, and with my wonderful co-conspirators, Mr. Dan Mangena and Miss Io, the VIPs of the coaching world and the business world. But every time we meet here in the Trifecta of Transformation, our goal is to bring some advice, to share some strategies, to share some thoughts, and best of all, to share a hot seat experience. The hot seat is a coaching scenario. I didn't share that, did I? Okay, I'm going to finish this. The hot seat is a coaching scenario where we bring a guest on live to be coached live. And it is our hope that this process actually educates, informs, and in its own way entertains you, because there's just so much power in learning from listening to other people share their thoughts or ask questions or watch other people being coached. So that is what we're going to do today. It has been a while since we've done this, thanks to the quarantine and very busy lives, but we're excited to do that again. In the meantime, guys, have you guys been able to share it from my page?
No, because I can't see it.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not showing up.
I need to make it public. It is public now, sorry. And so catching up from the quarantine and busy lives and everything, we are back, and I couldn't be more excited about this. We have a wonderful guest waiting to get in the hot seat. And so let us see how she does when she comes on. All right, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let these wonderful humans introduce themselves, starting with Miss Io. Please.
Hello, you wonderful people. It is wonderful to be back for another episode of the Trifecta of Transformation with these incredible human beings that I'm blessed to share the stage with. I am Ayodele Kolade. I'm a transformation specialist based here in the UK and working internationally with amazing human beings ready to take full charge of their life and transform at the deepest level of their being. So I'm excited to be here, excited to facilitate some transformations live on the show, and really, really privileged to share the stage with Daniel and with Nathan. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And the man, the myth, the legend,
calm down,
and
calm down. Please.
the
Slow down, Baba,
demigod.
please. Slow down.
Okay,
slow
okay.
down.
We'll just use demigod for today. All right, you go.
please, Lord, Mama, don't see that one. I am Dan Mangena from East London in the UK. I call Cabo, Mexico home. I do speaking, I do talking, and today we do some coaching. I'm honored to be amongst such esteemed company. It's a pleasure to share this space with Nathan and A Dizzle to provide an experience for you to see someone's life being impacted by someone just coming in with a lens and seeing what might be under the hood, so that they can be some transformation there and perhaps some transformation for you. Let's get it.
Yes. Okay. So to get everything teed up and warmed up, I like to begin by asking you wonderful humans to share a thought, either something that's been on your mind, a thought of the week, perhaps a theme of this past week, but anything that can provide insight to the viewers, to the audience. So you're welcome to share, and we shall begin with Dan. Put you on the spot.
I knew you were going to do that. There goes expectation into manifestation. You know, one of the things that's been coming up so much this week for me, Baba Nathan, is humility and humanity provide the biggest space for growth. And especially when you're on the front lines supporting people, whether it's as a healer, coach, teacher, whatever, recognizing that actually it's your wounds, it's the stuff that you've overcome that actually puts you in a more powerful position to support people in their transformation, versus trying to be this perfect, holy, never got anything messy. Because first and foremost, the inauthenticity that arises from the BS-ness of that will be smelt a mile off. And also, the truth of you having done heavy lifting in the past or continuing to do heavy lifting will actually encourage people to know that there isn't some plateau that they're going to get to where everything's magical and they don't need to keep doing work, and that the people that are out there facilitating change are humans too. And I think that creates a space for hope, and also keeps our feet on the ground, and it means that we continue to be at the forefront of being able to support people because we're working on ourselves consistently. So humility and remembering humanity.
Okay. All right. Well, Queen IO, you've got to top that. Humility and remember humanity. Humility and humanity go hand in hand. And it are keys to success, according to the Dreamer CEO. How about yours?
I think that I'm going to practice humility, and I'm not going to attempt to top it, because it was just a beautiful offering that you shared. And it's really interesting, because the thought for the week that I had in mind before Dan even started speaking was very, very much connected with the thought that you've just shared. It's actually something that came up in, I think it was the very first podcast that you and I did together, Dan, where you had me on as a guest, and I was very privileged to take that, take that on. I'm really, 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 really grateful for the opportunity. And it was something that I shared, and it was something that just came from the ether, which was that we can only help and heal other people as deeply as we've healed and helped ourselves. So in the same way, in the same vein that, we are showing up with our own wounds as healers and as helpers of other people, we can only help and heal other people to the degree that we've actually done the work ourselves. So I think it really, really speaks to what the point that you just made is that, we do have, as healers, we do have messy lives, and it is those messy lives that facilitate us and give us the opportunity to be so amazing at what we do, because we've done the work, because we've dug deep, because we've dove deep into our own shadows, and we've shone light on those shadows. That gives us the experience that, we've gone through that brevity and the depth of the darkness ourselves, and we've healed at those very, very deep levels, which then assists us in helping other people to access their own healing. So it's not necessarily topping what Dan said, it's just more of an add-on. And yeah.
Holding hands with it.
Hey, homie.
Right.
I got you.
UK in the house.
That is a wonderful thought. And I was also thinking of it in terms of purpose. One of the things I always say is that purpose is dual faceted, and the teacher or the healer, using the healer, for instance, in order for that healer to heal, they have to heal, or sometimes they actually heal themselves in the process of attempting to heal others. It's the same thing as the teacher, is that in order for the teacher to be able to teach, they have to learn first, and they have to actually learn 5 times more, right? So every one of us, before you step on stage to speak, you have rehearsed this material so much that it is a part of you, which technically is your education. You had to learn that first. And so it's so cool. Sometimes we think we're doing things for another, where in reality we're doing it for ourselves first, and that's a beautiful, beautiful share there, Io. My thought of the week, piggybacking on the conversation that we had before we got on live, is that your network is your net worth, right? And really highlighting the importance of relationships, genuine relationships, and strategic relationships, and inviting everybody to really evaluate the state of your relationships and seek to expand and enhance those relationships. I personally have really come to acknowledge the power of those relationships, because typically I'm generally very happy to sit at home, work with my clients, read a book, go to the gym, and I could literally survive without any human for like 6 months and I'll be fine, right? But that is not very beneficial. And that's Io also, right? Because when
And
she
Dan.
came on, I asked her, so how have you been liking quarantine? She was like, I love it, and that, but on the back end, we have to realize, you know what? We probably need to talk to somebody. We probably need to connect. We probably need to build and expand existing, maintain already existing relationships and build new ones, because, man, there is a lot of power in those relationships and those new connections. So that has really been a big thing for me in the last days and the last weeks. And it is something that I have to really be conscious in doing, right? Going against my natural tendency of just being completely self-sufficient, to allowing myself to be supported by others or to support others outside of even my client base. So that would be my thought. And for any of you guys watching, listening, or just joining, please feel free to comment. Your comments will be read live if it is pertinent to the conversation. It will also be posted on screen to honor you. So feel free to join the conversation. You are just as much welcome to the Trifecta of Transformation. Guys, anybody want to say something before we move on to the next section?
Yeah, just to comment on your point, which was a really, really beautiful point to make, and just the conversation that the three of us had before we got on to press the button to go live on Facebook was testament to that fact for me, because I don't necessarily, I am pretty much an island, and I do obviously do my coaching work and I spend time in that capacity helping other people, but in terms of socializing, I don't really do much of that. And obviously with quarantine being in effect and has so ferociously in the UK over the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, socializing has been very, very little has been happening. So just the value that I place on the conversations that the three of us have had before going live on Facebook, I just want to let you both know that I really, really appreciate your time and the conversations that we've had, and those, the connections that we're making, and we continue to make. So thank you.
Although that was all Dan, I will take
You
take
were
credit.
there as well.
I was honored. Yeah,
You were
it's
party as
it's
well.
always fun, because I think sometimes we forget, and at least for those of us who are more introverted, sometimes we kind of forget the joy of community. And then when you come together, you're like, oh my God, it feels so good. Let's do that
Right.
again. And then you do it a year later, but it needs to be, I know, it needs to be a more intentional thing and a more conscious action. So
So we're going to
always
do it
fun.
more often then.
We should do it more often. I vote for that. Dan?
Okay.
Dan doesn't
Okay.
look interested.
Okay. I know. He was like, these guys.
We're live. And we just spoke about relationships.
I know.
All this
I
stuff.
know.
Yeah,
So
sign me up.
it's hilarious. So moving forward, and before we also before we move on to our next guest, for those of you who are in Clubhouse, you need to search for either one of us or all three of us, because we will strive to host some rooms on Clubhouse, share some knowledge. Maybe you can get on stage with us, ask some questions directly. If you're watching this, if you know what Clubhouse is, if you don't worry about it. But in the meantime, we want to move on to our hot seat section. Our goal with this live video is to really pour into our guest who has honored us with her time, and who is also willing to share her experience with the audience in order to give to everyone watching this, because that is the whole idea. The most learning often comes even from the audience, because there's several people who can use this information, and wherever it is shared later will benefit from this information. So I will let the person responsible for bringing this guest on the air to introduce her before we bring her up. Miss Ayo.
So the guest, thank you, Nathan. The guest that we've got joining us today is a wonderful woman named Marwa, and we're really looking forward to hearing her story, helping and supporting her through some of the challenges that she's been experiencing, especially in relation to relationships, So I'm not going to say too much about it. I'm going to let her speak to the challenge that she's been experiencing, and we're going to do our very best to support her. So Nathan, if you would like to ask Mara to come to the stage, then
Yes.
we'll go from there. Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Mara. Hi.
Thank you
Welcome.
so much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you with us, and really just want to just take a moment to just really, let you know how much we appreciate your time and you being, so brave and vulnerable to be here with us and to share your challenges, because want you to know that we don't take that lightly. It's it's a big thing to do this on, a public forum and share your challenges with the intention of you being supported, but also knowing that as a result of that support that you're receiving, other people are going to actually benefit from what they're hearing on the call today. So just really, really, just wanted to let you know that really grateful for you being here with us today. So thank you.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you having me. This is obviously my first time, so I'm not too familiar. This is great. I'm enjoying the broadcast so far. So just to start off, my name is obviously Marwa, as you know. I am 20, going to be 27 soon. I live in New York. I am half Egyptian and German. My parents are divorced. I've been with a narcissist for 7 years. It was off and on. I've later on learned it took a long time. I'm still learning. But I've learned that I was also codependent. I've actually bought this book called Codependent No More. I forgot her last name, but I know her first name is Melody.
Melody
It's
BC.
Yes, it's an amazing book. I definitely have to go back and reread it. But I was with a narcissist. I've often blamed myself a lot. The whole situation, it was very traumatic mentally on my health. And I realized a lot of those parts have stemmed from my childhood as well, due to my parents. I've tried to find the right answers for so long. Um, there was a lot of red flags that even until now, like it just like comes to me at once. And I am in therapy. Therapy is going great. Um, it's a roller coaster of emotions. You don't know what to feel at times. There's times when I just get angry for no reason. It's all in. I feel like it's all in phases. Um, at least in my experience. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot about the subject.
Well, that's a really, really wonderful starting point, and thank you so much for, sharing that with us. And the issue around. So is it okay if we ask you some questions just to kind of get a bit more information?
Yes, absolutely.
So you're not in the relationship anymore, is that correct?
Yes, not anymore. We stopped officially talking once again. That was back before New Year's, so that would be, I would say, late December.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped talking, and I never got a sincere apology from him. I remember unfortunately, even begging for an apology at one point. Now, looking back, I realize it had nothing to do with me. He had a lot of anger and frustration. Um, we spoke briefly about what his issues was, and apparently he was also hurt about just one scenario that has happened with us, because we were at one point planning to get married. It was a whole mess. But basically, he put that blame on me. He never took accountability for his actions. It was always me, me, me. So he was never held responsible. He never even acknowledged my own pain. it took me a long time to come into realization that he was just not capable of feeling any type of remorse or empathy towards the actions he's done for the past 7 years off and on.
Mm. And was the relationship was a very much an off and on relationship?
Yes, yes, it was.
Okay.
I was about 19 when we met through a mutual friend. Now he's almost 31, I believe. So yeah, I try to picture, as we all try to do, we all try to believe in the best of that person. We believe that person will possibly change. I was basically like holding on to a piece of thread, and emotionally, I was just a wreck. I could definitely say I'm doing much more better now.
Good. So, how you said that you experienced traumatic encounters in the relationship, and that you're in therapy at the moment, which is wonderful. That you're getting some support to process the experience that you've been through. Very brave of you. How is it showing up as challenges in your life now? What is it that you perhaps want some help with, maybe getting some understandings on, or is there anything in particular that you kind of thought, this is something that I'd like to get an alternative opinion on when I speak to these guys on the show? Is there anything in particular that kind of came to mind?
There's a lot. I feel like the hardest part is like forgiving yourself and learning how to let go, and actually like believing in your worth, believing in your power. For me, what's helped is really coming into realization of the whole scenario, and like him being a narcissist and me educating myself on that subject, because I was not even aware of even any symptoms of a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So really it's about wanting to understand how you can forgive yourself.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you need to forgive yourself for?
A lot of things. One of them, I would say the biggest, is for all the stuff that I have allowed.
Okay.
I feel like that's kind of one of the reasons of me like just grasping it. I feel I journal. I try to find ways to cope with it. It's still very hard to process. I've had major anxiety from that relationship. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with us. I know this, it's probably some of the stuff that's coming up as we're speaking might not be easy. And, just want to acknowledge your bravery really for sharing that with us. And the forgiving yourself for allowing it to continue as long as it did, or for just allowing it to happen full stop?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything. Like the way it has ended, it was horrible. It didn't make any sense. There was no closure. Every time I try to help him, I try to fix that person. And then eventually it just like it flipped on me and it broke me, and I was slowly losing my sanity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. I think that, I've asked a number of questions. I just want to give the others, I'll either pass it over to Dan or to Nathan to see if they want to get a bit more information before we kind of go into perhaps giving you some of our perspectives and sharing some things with you that it's our intention to help and support you with. So do either of you two have any further questions or anything that you want to ask?
Well, Dan, I saw you pointing.
Hey, you. I'm not pointing.
That's hilarious. Okay, Mara. So I'm assuming anger towards yourself. what is the self-talk around that? What do you tell yourself when you're angry?
I get frustrated. I don't allow myself to feel the pain as much. I block that out. So I would say stuff like he did not deserve that. I mean, I'm sorry, I did not deserve that. He did not deserve me. He did not deserve a lot of parts of me. He was very mind controlling, very manipulative. Um, and I was always in this roller coaster, as I mentioned, just going back and forth, believing in the best of him. So I would just be very hard on myself, even though now I am at times. I just, yeah, I struggle with parts of letting go of that anger inside deeply. Um, I hold myself accountable of some actions on my end. Maybe I'm just very hard on myself.
And being angry at yourself is a very common trait of people after they break free of narcissistic relationships, because what happens is it's like so obvious to you now. Oh my God, how didn't I see that before? And what a fool I've been, and this, that, and the other. And sometimes, I mean, you cannot really see things when you're in it, right? And you have to be out of it first to then have that's why it's called perspective, right? You're out of it, now you have perspective, and now things make sense to you. Imagine that there's still people living on Earth who believe that the Earth is flat. And in fact, for hundreds and thousands of years, people thought the Earth was flat. Why? Because they did not have the necessary perspective. Because from
Yeah,
where you stand, it looks hella flat. You know, you need to get away enough to be able to see, oh, wow, or high enough on a mountain or something to say, okay, what's that curvature? This whole thing is not flat after all, is it? Right? So you beating yourself up and saying, oh, if only I'd known the earth was flat, I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have done that. That doesn't really make sense. Okay. But at the same time, I also do understand the part of, you know, we're dealing with emotions here. I'm not going to go into the coaching part, but that was kind of one of the first questions I wanted to ask. The other question I wanted to ask, which we'll come back to the coaching part, is what tools have you been given to deal with the different expressions? What tools have you been given in therapy to work with so far?
I've been working with her. Well, I've been working with two therapists. Unfortunately, my other therapist, she moved. So I am working with a new one for about, I would say, 7 months now. She told me journaling. Journaling helps a lot. I love writing either way. I've always been into writing, so I've been writing out my emotions. She mentioned if I have to release any bottled up emotions, you can cry it out, because I tend to not allow myself to cry. Um, like I mentioned before, I block out those certain emotions. There was times when I was angry and I didn't deal with it in the best way. I would lash out. Um, I would isolate myself. She mentioned, of course, meditating. I listen to a lot of guided meditations. That's quite helpful. Um, yeah, those are just a few. And like I mentioned, I just like to educate myself on the whole experience and what has led me up to this point, why I have allowed myself to continue for that long in that situation. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, I'm done for now. Dan?
Yes. First of all, welcome. Thank you again for opening up this space. There's something I've said before that I want to repeat again. Every time someone comes for me to have the opportunity to connect with them in this way, I get the opportunity to learn something about myself and even to heal a little bit more myself. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to dive into the parts of me that will also be healed by this experience. I'm really grateful for that. There are two questions that I'm going to ask you. I think the data collection king and queen have really done the heavy data collection. I've got some notes. I've got some insights on how I feel the work that I do is definitely going to augment the magic these guys are going to do too. So this question is going to seem really, really weird, but I want you to just sit with it. Do you really want to change?
Do I really want to change? I do. Like I mentioned, I work as in the healthcare field. Mm-hmm. So I'm working constantly recently, since I've came back to New York, and I feel again like I've been blocking out a lot of stuff that needs to be worked on, and I'm fully aware of that. Mm-hmm. I do want to change. You know, being in New York, the hustle and the people, the energy, that also messes with your mental health as well. So it doesn't make things quite easy. And being in the healthcare, it's not easy as well, especially with the whole virus situation.
And I think, I mean, Nathan and I are like the specialists when it comes to the unconscious mind. But this is the thing that I want to just leave in the space for you to just to sit with. First and foremost, the unconscious mind is moving at 10,000 to 10 million times the speed of the conscious mind. So as much as we're going to hold a conscious desire of something, unless that is supported by what we're at unconsciously, we're going to keep getting the same result. And so what I just want to, again, just add to the space that we're going to share as we really move into the coaching section of this is that keep listening to what your body's saying to you as we're taking you through these processes that we're going to go through, because it's going to lead to clues as to where you've got resistance points, where your unconscious is holding on to the narrative that's ultimately supporting this behavior. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
The other question I want to ask you is, what does narcissist mean to you? Now, what story do you attach to that word, if that makes sense?
Well, the biggest, and at least in my experience, is him not feeling any remorse for the pain he has caused me. Mm-hmm. It was always him shifting the blame towards me for any little thing. Mm-hmm. He never took accountability for his actions. Mm-hmm. And I've given a lot to him emotionally, physically. Only at the end, I feel empty.
So I have a question. With gratitude for you sharing from that. That's going to lead on to that. And it's probably going to lead to some stuff, these guys making some scribbles leading into the coaching section. But are you here to heal you? Or, bear with me, are you trying to find some resolution for the healing that you want him to have, that you get to witness and claim something from? So is this about him changing, or is it about you healing from the need or the desire to see him changing?
For the longest, that's a good question. For the longest time, I've tried to focus on him. But I think now, like in the past, I would say the past recent month, I've been really feeling that urge to really heal for my own sanity. Whereas that's a really good question because for the longest time, I've focused that energy in changing him and focusing on just him. But in the recent month, I would say I've been waking up to that thought of just really, it's time to really heal a lot of parts inside of me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I think in terms of data collection, I'm set, guys. I'm ready to dive in when you guys are and see what we can cook here. Thank you so much, Mara.
Thank you.
All right, Queen Io. Ladies first, do the honors.
Okay. So on the back of everything that you've shared so far, just again, you know, thank you for being so willing to just be so open and step into this space. And I think some of the questions that have been asked so far have already started that process of starting to kind of change the way that you're thinking, starting to just loosen up this grasp that you've had on the problem in the way that you've thought about it. And just I guess, you know, for me, just listening, especially to the last question that Dan asked, was a really, really powerful question. And it is really important that this is about you. That this is about you, and it's about your journey, and it's about your healing. But on the back of that, it's also an interesting observation to make that the relationships that we attract them because at some level there is healing for us to do. And those relationships will mirror back to us the areas for us to work on. So as much as that experience has been traumatic, and I hear you, and I honor that space that you occupy when you say that you have been through some traumatic experiences, and I'm sure experiences that you probably wouldn't wish on anybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in relationships, the things that we encounter give us the opportunity to see where we need to heal at a deeper level. And while those experiences, as you've just accepted, they're not experiences that you'd wish on anybody else, they're giving you an opportunity now to reflect on yourself and see where that deeper healing is needed. Because this isn't about him. You mentioned, you know, these tendencies, and you use the word codependency. These tendencies, these traits that you've seen in yourself of accepting this sort of behavior and other things that perhaps you would attach to the word codependency stem from childhood. So this relationship was an opportunity to mirror back to you the areas and the ways in which perhaps, and I know that this isn't always easy to hear, so understand that everything I'm saying with love. You're very welcome. These relationships reflect back to us some of the ways that we actually think about ourselves and feel about ourselves. And it's those are the parts that we need to heal in order to let go of that behavior. So moving into the next relationship, not only will you be different, but you will attract differently because you will have healed those parts of you that needed to see that reflection being reflected back to you. Right? So you mentioned about just take some deep breaths if you've got emotion coming up. Okay, it's okay to feel emotion's just energy.
Yeah, my chest definitely feels heavy. Like,
yeah,
I get a lot of flashbacks, like every so often. It definitely triggers my body, at least.
Yeah.
It definitely feels heavy.
Okay.
But that definitely makes sense what you're saying.
And it's okay to feel, you know, and I heard you earlier on when you said that it's something that you don't do. You push it away. You don't want to feel it. You don't want to go through that. And it's quite normal.
Okay.
But sometimes we need to feel in order to heal. So use this opportunity as an opportunity to feel what you're feeling in your body. Just acknowledge it. Just give it space, because the emotions that you're feeling can also be an indicator at some level that at the unconscious level, there's something that your unconscious mind wants you to learn. There are things.
I feel that. Yes.
What's coming up? What you're saying that you feel it? What is being shared with you that is essential for you to learn so that you can let go?
I just feel like I need to invest more time and energy into myself. And at the moment, it's, with work, I do feel like I really need a mental break. I have been working nonstop, and that also I would say blocked. Yeah, it blocked me out on focusing on my healing journey. It's been kind of off and on lately. So I'm just becoming more aware that I really need to do what's best for my mental health. And I feel very connected to nature. I've always been connected to nature. I love being at the park, in the woods. So I just feel like it's time. It's really time to just be with myself and be with my thoughts, not judging myself. A lot of forgiveness and really feeling it and allowing it, feeling the pain, not judging it. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to invite you to do more of. Listen to that inner guidance. That's your best friend. That inner part of you that has this innate and infinite wisdom is guiding you and sharing with you these things that are going to help and support you. So do more of that, because it sounds like that's what you need. And yes, it's less easy when we've got busy lives and we've got jobs and we've got all of these things that we need to take care of.
Yes.
But there can also be a segment that we can factor in for ourselves, and spending more time focusing on your healing journey is probably an area that you will really benefit from.
Yeah.
From really just leaning into. So that's one of the things that I would recommend. The other thing that came up for me as you've been speaking was you mentioned coming back to this, you know, the codependent traits that started in childhood. Have you done any inner healing work, any inner child work?
Yeah. A couple of years ago, when I first discovered, I never was even familiar with codependency. I had no idea until I stumbled upon this YouTube video, and I did some very deep research. So in the ways I've worked with that, I've written some past self letters to my past self. A lot of them. It was a lot of writing. That's for sure. It was a lot of writing. I would meditate. I would do these listen to these guided meditations about just childhood, about just healing your inner child. That helped a lot. I would listen to that several times a week. That helped me evolve even more and learn about why I was in this relationship, what attracted me to him, how we attracted to each other. A lot of things I learned about, even about myself, about my parents. Yeah, there's a lot of things.
Beautiful. That's really wonderful. So there's two things I want to share on the back of what you've just said. And firstly, commend you for diving deep into that work, because it's not always easy. The two things that I want to share with you are that you mentioned about not being able to forgive yourself. What I want to draw your awareness to is that there is a little being inside of you. There is an inner child inside of you who needs your love, who needs your forgiveness, who needs your attention, and she needs to be forgiven. So when you're finding it less easy to forgive yourself, I want you to picture that little being. I want you to picture that little girl inside of you who needs your forgiveness. If you're finding it less easy to forgive yourself, think about that little person that is inside your heart, that is a part of you, who needs to hear those words that it's okay, that we did the best that we could, that now that we're learning to do better, when we know better, we'll do better, in the words of Maya Angelou. So just focusing on, if you're finding it less easy to forgive yourself as an adult, just remember that there is a little being inside of you who is a part of you, and she needs your forgiveness. So I would also recommend perhaps spending some time daily. You mentioned about meditation. So maybe spending some time daily in your meditation, focusing on that inner child, and placing your hand on your heart and just letting her know that you forgive. and that it's okay and that you did your best. There's an amazing book, and I'll share this with you. Codependency is something that I'm very familiar with because it's something that I have had challenges with in the past. And it was one of the things that kind of led me, it was at the beginning of my healing journey, was learning about my own issues with codependency, which led me to this particular book that I would recommend you getting, which is called The Recovery of Your Inner Child. And I'll send you a message on Instagram later on with this, because I just want you to kind of just be present and just take everything in.
Thank you.
It's called, you're very welcome. It's called The Recovery of Your Inner Child by a woman called Lucia Capaccione. And she teaches a beautiful technique called dual hand dialoguing, where you're able to communicate with your inner child and have conversations with her and just dive into some really deep and beautiful healing at a very, very deep level. So that's something that I would, also perhaps recommend that you look into and invest some time in. You said that you want to dive into this healing. That is a place that I would highly recommend that you start. Is it at the core level and at the deepest level, and doing some work around, healing this inner child, that where these tendencies started. So I think that, that's what I want to offer at the moment. I'm going to hand over to either Nathan or Dan. And then if we're going to hand over to Dan, and then there is a technique that I would like to take you through at the end of the call if we've got time to. So I'm just going to obviously give space for the other two to contribute, and then we'll see whether we've got time for me to take you through a technique that I'd like to share. So how, I'll leave my thoughts there and pass over to Dan, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to provide some support.
And thank you so much for providing all that wonderful information. I'm really looking forward to reading that book.
Excellent.
And if it's okay, let me tee it up real quick. And if you're just joining us, welcome to Trifecta of Transformation with Ayo, Daniel Mangena, and myself, Nathan Akpan. Today we have a special guest, Marwa, who is here to sit in our hot seat. And the subject matter around this conversation today and the coaching she's receiving is around recovering or dealing with narcissistic relationships. So I know more and more we have heard that word being used. And so if it is something that you've experienced, you're experiencing, know someone who has experienced it, or just curious, I invite you to listen on as we coach Mara through her dilemma. And so handing it over to the Honorable Dan Mangena to do his magic and share his insights with our guest, Marwa.
I'm gonna ask you to do one thing just for a second, just to close your eyes.
Okay.
Don't worry. Look pretty safe. We can see there's no cars coming. And I just want you to bring your breath down to a pace that matches my count of breathe in through the nose. Feel the stomach, feel the chest. Hold, 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 and release it through the mouth. And allow your lungs to remain empty for a moment. Now in through the nose. Hold, 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 and release it through the mouth. Allow your lungs to remain empty for a moment and open your eyes.
Okay.
Right. Because I actually did 4 months of deep dive ninja work with A Dizzle last year, so I'm well acquainted with with how it can feel a little. So I just wanted to just bring it back for a second. So my work with people really tends to focus around a model that I created called Beyond Intention. And what Beyond Intention essentially is it's an opportunity to disrupt whatever the patterns that we've been operating on are, and come back to creating a new experience with what we want to create with our life. Ultimately, when we're saying that the experiences that we're having aren't what we want anymore, we're essentially saying we want to have a new experience of life, but the life that we live is a direct representation of who we are and where we're at. Not from a beat ourselves up and feel guilt and shame way, but what I get is a reflection of where I'm at. I'm limited to what I can experience as so much of who I am. So if we want to have a new experience, then what we're saying is we need to be in a new state of being, because that new state of being is going to meet new experiences. You with me so far?
Yes, I understand.
So what you have been called to look at and perhaps identify for yourself is challenges around the idea of codependency, which has had you met with the experience of a relationship over the past 8 or 9 years of someone who meets the description of what you refer to as a narcissist. And so, for there to be a change in the experiences that you're having, then the version of you needs to no longer be a vibrational match to that kind of experience, and therefore it can't come in. There's an analogy that I use with my programs. If you imagine what we're basically creating is Marwa Town, right?
Mhm.
And you want Marwa Town to be filled with stuff that you like and love, because
Yeah.
the possibility that we're going to stay on top of all of the moving pieces of everything around us is really low. So what we really us can be served by is just cutting off the potential of things that we don't want coming in. And we can do that by being deliberate in what we're a vibrational match to. What do I mean by vibrational match? Well, first and foremost, for me, vibrational match is like a holistic thing. Your actions, choices, and behaviors, your thought processes and beliefs. Because at the end of the day, if you hold a belief of worthiness around the kind of relationship that you're having, the
Mhm.
likelihood that someone that doesn't match that is going to be able to come into your experience is really low. And the other thing is what we're actually able to hold based on how much we care about ourselves and the relationship that we have vibrationally to other things. So, what I actually want to do is I want to take you down through something I call my flow funnel. And I want to do that aligning specifically, not even to what you're moving away from,
Yeah.
but to what you want to move towards. Because if your focus is this is what I'm moving away from, I'm moving away from codependency, I'm moving away from narcissistic relationships, then there's still a vibrational match there, because your energy is going to match the quality of your thoughts and your emotion. And every time you have a thought about that thing, you're going to trigger an emotional response, which is going to create a loop holding you captive to that experience. I want to just shift to setting a clear intention for what you want going forward, creating a new relationship within yourself to that future so that you can step into it, and identifying the quality of thoughts that are going to serve you moving into that so that your habits and behaviors follow. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So what this breaks down to really in a basic thing is, what am I choosing? And we're going to do that first by setting clear intention. What do I feel about that? What are my beliefs around it? And then I can start to follow in and go through my life looking at my behaviors to make sure that they anchor that in and support me having healthy, loving relationships. Ones where I love myself enough to not give my power away to other people or to be dependent on them, and to be happy and joyful as you deserve. All right.
Okay.
So starting at the top, just paint a picture for me for what you want your life, your love relationships to look like in an ideal scenario.
Like, should I excuse me, should I give you some details on that?
Whatever comes forward, share with me whatever comes forward, because that's going to give some insights as well.
I feel like to be in a healthy relationship for me, to have someone who is able to communicate with me on all levels,
Mhm.
like in everything. Obviously, honesty is very important. Someone who acknowledges my love, someone who is understanding and in myself and my experiences that I would share with him as well. Um, I don't want someone I can very much depend on at all times. I learned how to be, ever since I got out of that relationship, I've learned how to take care of myself more, and I'm still learning. I don't, I want someone who's going to add to that. If that makes sense.
Can I pause you for a second?
Sure.
And I just want to bring your attention to something that was a common thread when we
Yeah.
spoke about relationship, and that all of these are things that you're waiting for from somebody else.
What was that?
All of these things, most of these things are things that you're waiting for from somebody else.
And like regarding, like, you mean like feelings, wants, needs?
Let me put this a different way.
Okay.
I asked you what it would be like as an ideal relationship.
Yeah.
And your definition of that was pretty well weighted towards someone else meeting a certain standard. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just simply calling your attention to it, because some people that will be asked that question will look at, we will do this, we will share this, we will build this, or
Yeah.
something where I feel this, where I feel that, where I feel this. But it was someone will communicate with me, someone will be honest with me, someone will acknowledge me, someone who's understanding of me, and
Yeah.
someone who adds to me. This was still looking for an external entity to meet a certain standard in order for you to have happiness. So your power's still in somebody else's hands.
I understand.
You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I understand. I understand. Yeah.
So pause on that. I don't want to, because I'm sure that Nathan and Adiz will have made some notes on this, and
Yeah.
they're going to be well tooled to support you in terms of changing that pattern of thought, because this is where these guys are really at their magic. But what I
Yeah.
really wanted to do here was just set the scene for, what are we readapting our mental and emotional experience to create? And so long as it's in the hands of what someone else is going to give us, it's going to be very challenging for us to achieve that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just want to invite you to just sit for a moment. And if you need a minute, cool. Maybe we'll move on to one of the others and come back. Maybe this is something that you're going to go away and journal on later. So again, there's no pressure here to get it all done in one day. I'm just giving you something to think about, which is, what does a relationship look like from me going out or from me sharing with another, versus my ideal relationship in my mind is what someone else is going to bring in, because then it's dependent on someone else, and then the power is not mine to create it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm just taking all that in. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like for the longest time, especially with my ex, I've depended a lot on him. I felt like he was like this safe zone for me. And letting go, that was just one of the reasons why it was very hard to let go too. Um, yeah, I have a question. Just being in a healthy relationship and not expecting those qualities in someone, or relying on someone, or either depending. I mean, finding love, right? Finding love. There are guys that potentially they speak to me. There's just, at least in my experience, there's red flags that pop up, and I'm just like, okay, like this is feeling a little bit off. Like I'm not matching it. Like I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling connected. So I feel like just me being aware and listening to my intuition when it comes to relationships, at least now, from learning from my 7-year experience, I feel like that's one advantage, just learning from that experience and becoming aware of any qualities, but not to the point where I'm just like coming out as picky or all these emotions. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, look, there's standards and boundaries are healthy and called for. But again, I just want to call you back to what my initial question was. And the thing that I feel that you're probably going to go away and do some sitting with is looking at this, not in terms of what I'm running away from, but what I want to move towards. And what am I moving towards in terms of how I'm showing up and what I'm contributing versus what I'm waiting for from somebody else.
Okay.
Those are the two reframes I want you to just play with. Again, what am I moving towards? So not, I don't want this, I don't want that. I choose this, I desire this.
Yeah.
This is what I want in my experience. But when I'm answering that question, I'm answering it not in terms of what someone else is delivering to me. It's what am I bringing into the space that's being met halfway by someone else, or whole way with somebody by somebody else. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah.
once you understand what you want, now we can start to create an emotional roadmap for that, which sets our vibrational flow, which then allows us to be mindful of the thoughts and thought qualities and beliefs that are running contrary to that, so that I can zero in and address those. And then my habits and behaviors can change. And then the healthy relationship becomes a natural byproduct of who I am versus what I'm running away from in an unhealthy sense or expecting to be met by with someone else. So what am I moving towards? And again, I want you to really spend some time with this, whether it's in your journaling practice, sitting with it after a meditation. And
Yeah.
again, not in terms of what someone else is bringing me. So not that they communicate with me or they're, no, I want to be in a healthy relationship where we communicate with each other, where honesty is a common value that we share, where we
Yeah.
add to one another and uplift each other. Did you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. Now I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah. That
brilliant.
makes sense. I will definitely work on that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Baba
you.
Nathan.
I'm not sure there's much to add after both of you, but you guys are just so fantastic. I mean, you've touched on some of the things I was going to mention, but to begin by piggybacking on that point that Dan had made, um, you want to be in a relationship that is not needs based. Okay. So when you say, oh, I need someone to love me, I need someone to listen to me, I need this, I need that. One of the first things you'll find is when you get out of a traumatic experience, you run headfirst into another traumatic experience. And that is often because it is needs based. You're seeking to fulfill or relieve this need in another relationship. And so what Dan is basically expressing, so okay, so here's what I had written down earlier before he even mentioned that. And this is a way to look at it. What would this individual give you if he was still with you now? What would you get?
In terms of
What needs would be fulfilled?
if I was with him still,
Yes.
I think for the longest time I felt like a sense of just safety, like just comfortable, just because I felt like I've known him like I felt like I've known him, like really known him. Um, there was a lot of moments that was shared, and even until now I think of it like, was it very real? Was he being this mastermind manipulator, or was it very genuine? I just felt very just comfortable from what I felt. At least I thought I felt connected. I just felt like he was a safe zone. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because you want to connect to that need. Almost everything we do is in a fulfillment of a need, right? And that is literally all we're here for. You're hungry, you fulfill the need, you eat. You know, you feel sad, you want to feel happy because you have this need to change the state. Everything is in a fulfillment of that need. And so you want to ask yourself, what need am I trying to fulfill by being in this relationship with this person, right? Now, you do realize then that when you're in a relationship with the person, that need often is not fulfilled anyways, because it's this roller coaster ride and all this craziness happening.
Yes.
And hence, to what Dan was asking, what would a better ideal relationship feel like, right? And so
Yeah.
I want you to dig into that idea from a feeling place, not he would do this or he would do that. I would feel loved. I would feel secure. I would feel this, right? I would feel seen. I would feel all the feelings. Now, when you note all the things you would feel from the relationship, you want to start giving yourself those things now. Okay, you want to start, if you say, oh, just want to feel loved, can somebody just love me? Well, you need to start by loving yourself, right? You need to, because
Yeah.
it means that there is a gap that needs filling. And what
Yeah.
happens is when you cannot fill that need within yourself, you start looking outside in the fulfillment of that need. Okay. But what happens is when you come from a place where you're already full,
Yeah.
when you meet another person, your love matches their love. And now it becomes a complete union. Nothing is lacking. You're not needing love from him. You're just basically sharing both of your love, right?
Yeah.
And that's from being a full person, not being half. Because it's basically, it's like something running downhill, right?
Yeah.
Or osmosis, basically. If something is lacking in one area, it's going to try to flow to the other to balance. So if your love for yourself is less and you're looking for it from him, now you've got a problem. That's where most of the attachment tends to come from. So you want to really investigate, what am I seeking in another, right?
Yeah.
I'm seeking, some form of excitement. You said familiarity. Yeah, you feel like you've known him for so long. Well, if you've known him for so long, there's a very good chance you probably don't know yourself that well, because you've really based that sense of familiarity around this person. As far as he was present,
Yeah.
things were stable, right? And now he's not there, and you're like, who the hell am I? Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, that makes sense because I've placed my identity mostly around him for such a long time. And you're so right. Like I really lost my sense of identity for a while. Like I really, like, slowly I did not even know who I was for the longest time.
Correct.
Everything was revolving around him, and I neglected myself, my needs, everything. A lot of things kind of went in a downward spiral.
Right.
Yeah.
And hence it would be no surprise that a person who loses their identity freaks out, right?
Yeah.
But if you had your sense of identity, somebody came into your life. I'm not saying it's not difficult, because when you spend so much time with a person, it gets difficult. But if you know at the end of the day who you are, it's not as jarring and as traumatizing as the person who wakes up and realizes they don't even know themselves, because the one thing that I used to associate with who I was is no longer, sleeping next to me on the bed. Now the person is, who the heck am I? Right? So
Yeah.
this gives you an opportunity, as Aya had said, that sometimes these things happen as an event that gives you the opportunity to know something about yourself that you may have been missing. And this opportunity is to get to know Marwa again, right? To know her perhaps for the first time, right? That you hadn't done because you met him at such a young and early age. You have this opportunity now to meet this person. Now, while you sit with that idea that there is something that you need to fill within yourself, right? Oftentimes when you have something that you're lacking, you'll usually, the person you attract will oftentimes be lacking that thing too. You lack love for yourself, they show up, they don't give you the love you need anyways, right? Because you
Yeah.
attract that mirror image, that mirror reflection. A person who has zero self-esteem usually gets with a person who's going to abuse the heck out of them, because they don't respect you either, right?
That makes sense. Yes.
And so these are things and realities that we have to face. And sometimes looking in that mirror is hard. So that brings me to this point of anger. You said you were angry at yourself, and which is, again, a normal expression after these things happen. But then you shove it away because you don't want to deal with the anger. And usually denial is associated with guilt and shame. Much of it. Some of it is associated with pain because you just don't want to deal with the pain. But something tells me that this denial, this anger that you have around this event is associated with guilt and shame. Guilt that you allowed it to happen, and shame that you could have fallen for this trap and you couldn't have seen the signs. Tell me if that resonates with you.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like me going back and forth for so long. Like there would be, for example, like many months we weren't talking, and then we would talk like out of the blue. Everything would seem fine just for that day. And then I remember there was that same year, I think it was about 2 years ago, he gave, well, from what I learned later on, I obviously didn't realize it at that time. He gave me the silent treatment. I knew something was wrong, but me, being a codependent, I just always believed in the best of him. Him claiming that he was too busy, he was finishing off his semester, finding a job. It was still no excuse. I still felt something was off. Um, and I also felt like even anxious to approach him about any situation that was bothering me. And if I did, he would turn it around and say, well, why are you stressing us out? Like, why are you making this a big deal? We have enough problems. And me thinking, well, at least back then, thinking, okay, well, maybe I am. Maybe I should just let it go. Maybe I'm just being over dramatic. So I was very hard on myself. Looking back now, I definitely realized like it was not the issue.
Right.
It shouldn't have been an issue. Speaking
Right.
to someone about your concerns, about what you want, about all these things, about your future together. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to share something with you that hopefully will help relieve your anger towards self, because that's a big thing that needs to be released. It is one of the things that you're feeling in your body because you're not allowing yourself to express yourself enough. Now you're bottling that stuff within yourself. That's what you're feeling somatically in the body. Okay. Okay. So again, before I get to that, if you accepted this whole reality that you maybe got played by this dude and all this stuff happened and you spent many years of your life with a person who has no heart, what would that mean for you?
You mean currently in my present?
No, if you accepted this reality, what would that mean for you? What would that say about you?
If I still like would allow it to continue, you mean? If I'm
No,
still
just accepted that it happened, right? It's over now, but you accepted the reality of the past, that you wasted like 7 years with this dude and he was like freaking, heartless. What would that mean to you?
like him being heartless.
Yeah, what label would that mean for you? Would it mean that you were a fool? Would it mean that you were stupid? Would it mean that what would that mean to you?
I felt towards the end, especially when I began to see the signs more and more, I never felt good enough. My self-worth went down. My confidence went down. I felt, other than dumb, I felt undeserving. I I just constantly I constantly blamed myself. I I just felt lost. Yeah, to name a few. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I felt
So,
taken advantage of.
right. And sometimes people would rather avoid being angry because then it would not, if I don't accept it, then it means I'm not dumb. Right. And so sometimes we deny what happened because we believe that accepting it means we were dumb.
Yeah.
The question is that true?
Yeah.
Number one, you don't know what you don't know. Okay. Ignorance is not stupidity. Stupidity is you knowing and then saying, oh, hey, narcissist. Oh, yeah, sign me up. It's a whole different story, right? Not knowing in your young age And that conversation of narcissism is only really just began to be discussed in, say, probably the last 5 years, heavy. So you did not know what you didn't know. Okay. And I'm sure there were good moments with this person, obviously, otherwise you wouldn't still be hung up on him. But the part of him that is what he is, number one, is something that even in psychotherapy, one of the classifications of people that you can't really change are deep narcissists. So if he went to therapy and said, oh, hey, I'm a narcissist, try to change me, most therapists wouldn't even mess with it, because it's, for the most part, just such a lost cause. So beating yourself over something that even the professionals wouldn't touch with a long stick is silly, right?
Yeah.
You cannot change him. You couldn't change him even if you were a professional, right? So this unrealistic expectation of, oh, I screwed up, I should have seen it, I should have known it, and this and the other is misplaced, because he is what he is and will pretty much continue to be that. Okay. And that is one reality in personality theory that you almost cannot change. Okay. So what needs to happen is an acceptance of that reality. If a person goes into the 12-step program, the first thing they say is what? Just accept it. Like, you got to accept that you've got a problem. You cannot accept something that you cannot change something you don't want to accept, right? So just accept, yes, I was in this relationship with this crazy person. I tried to change him many times when I thought I could, but now I know I can't. Okay? So acceptance, and then you're able to say, okay, now that I know that I can't, I know not to do that again. What are the things that I can pull from his patterns, his behavior, for the next relationship, so I can see this coming from a mile away and I don't have to attempt to change it? Because the people who often gets paired with the narcissists or the empaths, who always think, oh my God, I can change him. If you only give me three months with him, he'll be a new man. No, right?
Yeah.
Because that is a presumption and a very presumptuous thought on your part to think you can change somebody else. You can't, right? So the one thing you can do from this is to really get the learnings, as Ayo had mentioned earlier. Get those learnings. You have to release the anger. You have to allow yourself to be mad. You have to allow yourself to cry, to yell. She's probably going to give you an exercise that will help with that. But you need to go somewhere, close your eyes, talk to him, yell, scream, punch a pillow, stab a pillow, whatever you want to do to release that anger, right?
Yeah.
And when you release it, you need to make peace with that idea, because it was nothing that you could have changed. Okay? And don't forget, you met him at 19, you said?
Yes.
Okay, he was older than you.
Yeah.
So he had several years of game that he already had on you, coupled with the whole idea of narcissism, right? So what he is, he doesn't even have control over.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not because this person wishes to hurt you, Marwa. It's because it is in reality his nature as it is. Like, you go to a snake. I had a client, who's same situation as you, head over heels with this crazy dude that she said she wouldn't have even dated in a million years. Not my type, but I don't even know why I'm hung up on him. But, and I keep saying, if you went and played with a snake, what would you expect?
Yeah.
When you get bit and you say, oh my God, this crazy snake bit me, I tried to feed it, I only knew that I had nothing but love for it. Its nature is to bite you. That's it. So it does that which is in its nature, and to think you can change the nature of the creature is indeed futile. So you just have to accept that is kind of one of those things, right? And then look forward to the rest of your life. The most thing that you would have to do is now release that pent up energy, release that anger. Okay, I'm going to pass it on to Ayo here soon, but I want you to, the two tools that I think will help you with that, and I really want you to do the talk. Number one, the talk. Go into your bathroom or whatever, have a conversation with him, or close your eyes and just see him standing in front of you and start talking. Cuss him out. Say everything you've ever wanted to say, right? Because if you have stuff within you, it means you haven't been able to express those things just yet. Scream, yell, do something, find something, a figurine, get a cardboard cutout with his face on it and just beat it to hell. Do something to release that anger, okay? Because you have to express it, okay? Now, the second thing I would do is look up EFT or tapping. I think that is certainly a very simple tool, a simple modality that could help you because it also releases acupressure points and the energy. But the phrase that is often used in that is usually, even though I have this issue, I fully and completely love and, respect myself, right? So it's a statement to yourself also. Even though I have this anger, even though I feel dumb, I fully and completely love and accept myself. So if you look up EFT, you should be able to get the very basic model. They're more advanced models, but you can use the basic model to release some of that emotion. Okay. And then the other one I would say to use as far as an immediate tool would be the Ho'oponopono prayer that says,
I love that.
yes.
I'm very familiar with that.
How often do you use it?
I mentioned, I've been very jammed up at work with patients, but it's been a while. But I was using it for quite several months. I feel like I definitely need to get back on that. It was helping.
Here's the thing. You don't need to have a special time. It's kind of like saying a prayer. It's kind of like saying an affirmation. You don't always have to wait to say your affirmation at 4 o'clock if you're a Muslim or whatever. You say it when you're at work. You say it when your mind comes across the idea, oh gosh, I'm single. Oh, okay. You say those things when you think about yourself, right? And then it becomes an expression of love to yourself, right? That I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, right? That can just be your walking mantra, your walking prayer to yourself. It is a suggestion to your subconscious mind. As your subconscious hears that I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, slowly and slowly the heart begins to just soften, right? Because you can't love a thing and still hate a thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So I think those things could help you. And I'm going to pass it on to Miss Ayo to share her magic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all the information.
Thank you.
Definitely had to have more work to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Marwa. So just remember that you've been given a lot of information today.
Yeah.
Right? There's been a lot to take in. And I fully appreciate that. This video will be available to you. We'll make it available to you somewhere, whether we send you a link or it will be put up on our YouTube channel. So we will send you the link to our YouTube channel when the video is published, I believe. And one way or another, we'll make it available to you so that you can, when you have time, you can come back, you can listen, you can watch, and you can make notes about the things that you're going to take forward. And I know that as you've been listening, information, even though it's been a lot of information to take in, the information has been going in. And so when you get off the call, you'll be able to just sit down, perhaps make a few notes about the most poignant things that you remember. So doing some inner child work, like I said, I'll send you a message on Instagram about the book that I recommend that you're looking at. It was highly, highly influential in terms of my own recovery journey. So, and all of the things that Dan and Nathan have mentioned, you'll be able to look back at the video and make notes about those things and take those things forward. So the reason I'm mentioning this now is it can sometimes feel like you're being overloaded, and that's okay. Okay, just breathe it all in, just open yourself to receive it. Take some deep breaths and just know that everything that you need in this moment is being received. Everything that you need to take away with you from this call, you'll be taking away with you. And then anything additional that you need to come back and look at, you can come back and watch the video. So don't worry about remembering everything. Everything that you need to remember, you'll take away with you, and you'll be able to start using it straight away. Okay. So I would like the opportunity to take you through an exercise if you're open to it. However, I also want to give you the opportunity to say no. I'm good. Like I've received enough. I want to just take away what I've received and process that. But I want to give you the opportunity to say whether it's something or whether you just want to just, you're good. You've received what you came for. So would you like to be taken through a technique, and feel free to say no. I won't feel offended. This isn't about me. This is about me being of service to you. So if you would like me to take you through the technique, then I'm more than happy to do it. If you feel like you don't want to, then please understand that it's okay to say no.
Yeah, no, I am definitely open to it. Yes.
Yay. Okay, awesome. So what I would like to do is I would like to work specifically on a portion of the problem that you've shared with us today. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through a technique where I'm going to ask you one question over and over again about the particular area of the problem that we're working on. So if it feels like it's a bit repetitive, it's okay. I know what I'm doing, and I will shift directions and move in another direction when it's time to. Okay. So what's going to happen is we're going to start off by, I'm going to ask you a question about the problem.
Okay.
And what will happen is some emotions will start to come up, and that's good because it means that we're clearing the layers that have created this problem. What will happen is these emotions, these words will come up, these words will come to mind, and these words will keep coming to mind as I ask you this question until one of two things happens. You will either reach a positive emotion, or you'll reach a space of neutrality where it just feels very kind of flat. There's nothing really there. It's kind of like a void. Okay. So I'm going to keep asking you that same question until we get there. It's quite a quick technique. It's probably no more than about 5 minutes long. Okay.
Yeah.
So then once I reach that, either the space of neutrality or a positive emotion, I'll shift and take you in another direction. Okay.
Okay.
But I just want you to put your trust in me and let me navigate and take you through the technique. Okay.
I trust.
Good. Thank you. I'm really pleased that you do. So the part of the problem that we really want to focus on, this comes back to, the bit that Nathan really ended on, was the anger and frustration that you've been feeling, and also related to this not being able to forgive yourself that we've touched on, and also this not being able to understand or see your sense of worth. So is that something that you'd like to change today?
I would like to change. Oh, sorry. It's a lot of emotions coming up.
It's okay. You're right in the right place.
Yeah, I would like to change just focusing more on stepping up my game on my self-worth. And actually, it's different when I remember like several months ago, even years ago, just like saying to myself, like, yeah, I will listen to these affirmations, like, you are worth it, you are beautiful, loving, all these wonderful affirmations. At that time, even until now, it's a little bit hard, but it's getting there, just not where I want to be. So it's different when you're listening to it and actually like taking it in and actually like believing in it. So I do struggle with that. Uh, I feel like the last incident that has occurred with him, it woke me up, and it just happened in, as I mentioned, in late December of last year. And then from there, it was like, it was very, it was a horrible incident that occurred. And then afterwards, I feel like that definitely even like woke me up even more to not return back to him, going back and forth in that toxic relationship. But just me being more forgiving towards myself for allowing a lot of things to happen within that time frame that I was with him, learning to be more gentle on myself, because I was just very hard on myself. I let myself go. I wasn't focused on a lot of things, a lot of areas in my life. I wasn't focused on exercising. I gained a lot of weight besides my anxiety, isolating myself, just not taking care of my priorities and my needs for so long. Yeah, neglecting a lot. Yeah.
Okay. And that's something that you want to change?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you might find it easier to do this with your eyes closed, but if you want to keep them open, it's completely up to you.
Okay, let me just take a sip a
Take
little
a
bit.
sip of drink, that's okay. Take your time, there's no rush.
Okay.
And then just sit comfortably.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll close my eyes.
Okay, close your eyes. Okay. So the challenge, the issue, the part of this problem that we're working on letting go of and releasing today is the frustration that you've been feeling, not being able to forgive yourself for not knowing how to let go, and for not believing in yourself, and for not being gentle with yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can get into that state quite easily now, can't you?
Yes,
yeah. Okay, good. You'd know if that changed, wouldn't you?
What was that?
You'd know if that changed, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so as you're aware of that state, that feeling that you're feeling now as we're speaking about the problem,
Yeah.
what comes up? What arises from underneath that?
In regards to not forgiving myself?
Yeah, just what emotions coming up underneath that?
Just a lot of anger, a lot of back and forth and arguments, and me trying to explain myself to him, like explaining about his own faults and pointing out his faults, and then at the end me getting no recognition. Everything was just on me. He never once sympathized, and even if he did, it was like crocodile tears. I remember that night in the car, and him expressing his hurt, but meanwhile trying to make me feel bad and feel remorse. And then at the end, I fell into it for a while until I realized, until I woke up and realized like there was just no sympathy. He was very cold, very cold.
And as you feel that feeling of anger, this frustration at trying to explain yourself, what arises from underneath that?
Just kind of confused a little bit.
Good, fantastic. Yeah. And as you feel that feeling of confusion or being confused, what arises from underneath that?
Frustrated.
Good. And as you feel that frustration, as you feel being frustrated, what arises from underneath that?
Finding it hard to let go.
Okay, good. And as you feel that feeling of finding it hard to let go, what arises from underneath that?
Learning how to accept what has happened.
Beautiful. And as you feel that feeling of what it might be like to learn how to accept what's happened, what arises from underneath that?
Just trying, I have to learn how to be more patient with myself and gentle with myself.
Okay, beautiful. And as you feel that feeling of wanting to be more patient with yourself and wanting to be kinder to yourself, what arises from underneath that?
Just taking care of my own needs, putting myself first.
And as you feel that feeling of wanting to be putting yourself first and taking care of your own needs, what arises from underneath that?
To stop blaming myself.
Good.
To love the person I am right now in this present moment and not allow it to control.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And as you feel that feeling of wanting to stop blaming yourself and wanting to accept yourself for where you are, what arises from underneath that now?
Acknowledging the pain.
Beautiful.
Acknowledging the pain for all those years that I didn't deserve it.
Beautiful. Well done. And as you feel that feeling of finally acknowledging the pain and realizing that you didn't deserve it, what arises from underneath that? You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just be more kind and gentle and easy and patient with myself along my journey.
Good. And as you feel that feeling of now actually stepping into being kinder with yourself, being gentler with yourself, what arises from underneath that now?
What arises? Well, I no longer feel the need to change him.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of, I feel like I need to shift the focus on myself, my own well-being.
Beautiful. And as you feel that feeling of wanting to shift the focus to yourself and your own well-being, what arises from underneath that?
Just fully acknowledging all the bad things that has happened, and understanding that it does not define me in this present time.
Beautiful. And as you feel that feeling of acknowledging the bad things that happened and realizing that it doesn't define you, what arises from underneath that?
That I am a strong person.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And as you feel that feeling of being a strong person, what arises from underneath that?
That I tried my best.
Mm-hmm.
I tried my best to work things out, and there was nothing I could have done to change him.
Beautiful. And as you feel that feeling of knowing that you tried your best, what arises from underneath that?
That I'm not a bad person.
And as you feel that feeling, that knowing that you're not a bad person, what arises from underneath that?
That I still have love inside of me.
You have love inside of you.
Yes, I have love inside of me still.
Beautiful. And as you feel that feeling of having love inside you, Marwa, what arises from underneath that?
That I will not give up hope, and I will place that love within myself first and always.
Beautiful. Okay, just want you to keeping your eyes closed, just take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Excellent. Excellent job. Now, I just want you to bring to mind the first state that we began with, keeping your eyes closed, which was this feeling of frustration, not being able to forgive yourself for not knowing how to let go, not believing in yourself and not being gentle with yourself. And as you feel that feeling, I want you to just notice and become aware of anger and trying to explain yourself arising. And as you step into that feeling of anger and trying to explain yourself, I want you to become aware of the confusion arising. As you feel that confusion, I want you to become aware of feeling frustrated arising. As you feel that frustration, I want you to become aware of finding it hard to let go arising. As you feel that feeling of what it was like to find it hard to let go, I want you to become aware of learning to accept what has happened arising. As you feel that feeling of learning to accept what has happened, I want you to become aware of wanting to be patient and kinder to yourself arising. As you feel that feeling of being kinder or wanting to be patient and kinder to yourself, I want you to become aware of the feeling of wanting to take care of your own needs arising. You're doing an amazing job. As you feel that feeling of wanting to take care of your own needs, I want you to become aware of wanting to stop blaming yourself arising. As you feel that feeling of wanting to stop blaming yourself, I want you to become aware of acknowledging the pain and realizing that you didn't deserve it arising. As you become aware of acknowledging that and realizing that you didn't deserve it, I want you to become aware now of being kinder to yourself and with yourself, being gentler arising. As you become aware of being kinder and gentler to yourself, I want you to become aware of wanting to shift the focus to yourself and your own well-being arising. As you feel that feeling of wanting to shift the focus to yourself and your own well-being, I want you to become aware of acknowledging that bad things happened and that you're now realizing it arising. As you feel those feelings of acknowledging that bad things happened and that you're realizing it and acknowledging it, I want you to now become aware that you are a strong person arising. As you feel that feeling of being a strong person, I want you to become aware of the feeling of knowing that you tried your best arising. As you feel that feeling of knowing that you tried your best, I want you to become aware of the feeling of knowing that you're not a bad person arising. And as you feel that feeling of knowing that you're not a bad person, I want you to become aware of knowing that you still have love inside you arising. And as you feel that feeling of knowing that you still have love inside you, I want you to now become aware that there is a place of love inside yourself and that will always be there arising. Very good. Now just keeping your eyes closed, take a few more deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Well done. Okay, very good. Keep your eyes closed. This time, when I ask you to think about the frustration that you had about not being able to forgive yourself and not believing in yourself and not being gentle with yourself, what arises from underneath that now?
I'm still a good person.
Excellent. Well done. This is absolutely incredible. Keep your eyes closed. And in that space of knowing that you are a good person, I just want you to take a few deep breaths in. And as you experience that state now, I just want you to notice what you are hearing here now. My voice and the sounds around you. At the same time as you see the things that you can see in your mind's eye now. At the same time as you feel all the feelings there in your body there now. At the same time as you can smell any smells or taste any tastes. I want you to awaken all of your senses at once. And just lock in that feeling that you're feeling there now. Knowing that you are a good person, Marwa. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to now.
Yeah. Oh, that was very powerful.
How are you feeling about that old problem?
Very releasing. I feel very in touch with my emotions, a lot of bottled up emotions that was
Good.
just lingering in there in my body. It felt very heavy for the past several months. My whole chest area was just so heavy. I feel a huge relief. I feel lighter. I feel lighter.
Has the heaviness gone?
Yes, I feel definitely lighter.
Well done, you.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, and thank you so much for being willing to step into that space and allow me to guide you through that process. It was a privilege, and always is a privilege, to support and to be of service. So I'm just going to say thank you to you, and just honor your courage, honor your bravery, honor your vulnerability, and just say how incredible I think you are, for everything that you've been through, to be willing to step into this space with us today and to show up in the way that you've shown up. Your courage, words fail me. So I'm going to hand over to see if Dan or Nathan have any final words, but I'm in awe of you, and I think you're an incredible human, and thank you for blessing this space with your presence today.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough from my heart. Thank you.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
Congratulations, Marwa. That was good. But the heart always knows the way. It creates stories, right? So if you notice how there was a trail of stories that were created, and it's linked in this daisy chain. But if you follow it and you pull the chain and the string long enough, you'll find where it's coming from, and you'll always arrive at a conclusion. So congratulations. The thing is, all those stories were available. You now just express your choice to choose the truth.
Yes.
The rest were lies, right? Now you have the ability to choose the truth. And I think in combination with all the other thoughts that we had shared with you today, a breakthrough is definitely present. Once the heart becomes lighter, that's it, because that's the only hold that was left. So congratulations again. I'm excited to have witnessed it, and I will let Mr. Dan Mangena say something.
Well, just going to augment A Dizzle's magic by just reminding you to get really clear in this new clean space with what am I moving towards. You've been given the opportunity for a new lease of life, a blank slate. What are you going to move towards from here? And keep looking forwards. Wisdom is the memory without the emotional charge, one of my teachers, Dr. Joe Dispenza, says. And
I love him. I'm actually reading this book.
But this space that you're in now is an opportunity to keep pulling on that wisdom from without dragging in shame, guilt, blame, beating yourself up. But where do I want to go from here? What do I choose to experience? What do I intend and create? Through
I will
me,
definitely keep that
not
in
from
mind.
other people. All right.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I can't thank you guys enough for all the lovely techniques and information. It's definitely a lot to take in. So I will definitely look back on this video. I feel so much lighter from all of the techniques and all the information shared. It was wonderful, just wonderful.
Excellent. Now take the opportunity to love yourself, to do those things that you have neglected doing for yourself, Marwa. This is the key. Do it for you, and just take your time. Rumi said that your task is not to seek love, but to look for all the barriers that you have created against love within yourself. So take time for yourself, work on you, right? If a guy comes, slides into your DMs or holler as you're at the gym, tell him to go away. Take the time to work on yourself, right? Because you know that when you are ready, it's a different lady that will show up to the game. And guess who you're going to attract? You're going to attract a different person, right?
Yeah.
So congratulations. Keep us updated on your status. Maybe we'll do, that whole thing. They say then and now kind of thing. How I was doing and how I'm doing now. Maybe on a follow up, it will be different. Maybe we should have a trifecta reunion of sorts, like all the people that we have interviewed, and have them on one call to tell. I think that would be cool. We need to do something like that. So
I
thank
think
you.
so too.
Yes.
That's
Thank
a
you
great
very
idea.
much.
Yeah.
I think it's phenomenal. So thank you
Yeah.
very much for being here with us, and we're excited. Io, excellent job. Expected nothing less, and you did not disappoint. So
You all did amazing. It was a pleasure speaking to you. I have gained so much light, so much positive energy. Just I can feel it coming towards the screen. It's just wonderful, and I really appreciate you having me on
good.
today's
Yeah,
podcast.
and I will tell you, I got somebody who texted me earlier and said, "Oh, this topic definitely speaks to me." She wasn't able to watch it live, but she says, "I'll definitely look for the replay because she too is going through something similar, right?" So the courage that you showed to be present here will inform others, will do things for others beyond what you even thought you came here to do. So I thank you for that. So does anybody?
That warms my heart, just knowing I can help someone out there that is having a very similar situation.
Yes, excellent. You're not alone. So anybody have anything else to add before we?
Can I take a photograph of the screen before we go?
You sure can.
Hold on one second.
Look at that.
The lightning is not the best. Sorry.
You're gorgeous, darling. Absolutely gorgeous. Hold on one second.
We got to pose.
Yeah, do the pose. Dan was like that. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. I'll do the thinker pose.
Hold on one second. My screen's filthy.
Oh God.
That's better. I can actually see now. Okay, I got it.
All right, better say next thing. All right, super.
Excellent.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for those who are watching. It was an honor, and you can find this recording on YouTube. We'll post the link somewhere. Oh, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, you'll also find this link. But again, hopefully you check in with us soon. I hope. It's really difficult. Yes.
I will definitely be keeping you posted on my journey.
Please.
Yes.
Please do. We would love to hear that. I think and that's the beauty of it. I think we have an interest in not I know we have an interest in your success that goes beyond this time we've spent here together. So please stalk us on social media, follow us, and share any insights, messages, or thoughts. You're not alone. That's the first thing you need to know. Because a lot of times when people break out of such a system, the first thing they feel is like, oh my God, I'm so alone, right? So just know that you are not alone. And I can vouch for any of these two other individuals that if you were experiencing a tough time, a difficult day, that they would not feel any kind of way if you message them just saying, hey, I'm kind of feeling this way. Can you share something that can uplift me? So I know certainly that would be an honor to be able to do. So feel free to reach out to us in any event if you need anything, okay?
Most definitely. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. All right, with that being said, I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wrap. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for participation in live and in spirit. And join us again next time for the Trifecta of Transformation. This is Nathan Akpan and
Marwa.
Marwa. Daniel.
You know their name. Also known as Iodelic
I know, right? See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye.
I'm out.
Thanks. Bye.
We didn't give Dan the chance to say